I'm Anil Kumar, and here is a test question for you to write end behavior of given polynomials. The question here is, use the degree and the sign of the leading coefficient of each function to describe the end behavior of the corresponding graph. You can copy this question, answer, and then look into my suggestion. The four polynomials given to you are f of x equals to 1 minus x, f of x equals to minus 2x cubed plus 3x, f of x equals to minus 5x squared times 2x plus 1 whole cube, and f of x equals to x times x minus 4 whole square times 1 minus x. Now, here are my suggestions. I have mixed up two types of polynomial functions, one in standard form, the other one in factored form, right? Let's look into them one by one. When we need to write end behavior, we are trying to figure out what happens to the characteristics when x approaches negative infinity and when x approaches positive infinity. That characteristics is dependent on degree and on leading coefficient. In degree, we are basically seeing whether the degree is odd or even, right? And in leading coefficient, we are checking whether it is positive or negative. So that is kind of important for us. Let us analyze the very first function, 1 minus x. Now what is the degree of this function? Degree is 1. It's a linear function, right? So 1 is odd, correct? So what we get here is degree is 1. So in this case, we'll write degree as 1, which is indeed odd, right? And the leading coefficient is minus 1. Minus 1, that means it is negative, the leading coefficient. And we have also learned that if the leading coefficient is negative, in that case right side is down, correct? So in that case, the right side is down, right? So the right side is down. So clearly, if when x approaches positive infinity, y should approach negative infinity. Now when it is odd, then both are facing the opposite end. So the left side is up, and that means when x is approaching negative infinity, y is approaching positive infinity, right? So that becomes the solution for the first polynomial, f of x equals to 1 minus x. Now let us continue and write down the solutions for 3 and 4 also. Okay, let's look into 2 now. F of x equals to minus 2x cubed plus 3x. So the degree is 3 for us, which indeed is odd, and the leading coefficient is minus 2, which is negative, right? So therefore, negative means right side down, right? So negative means right side down. It means what? On the characteristics or the graph of the function, this is negative, means the graph will be going kind of like this. That means when x approaches positive infinity, y approaches negative infinity. Odd means opposite ends. That means when x approaches negative infinity, y approaches positive infinity. So that is how you get characteristics of end behavior from the equation. Now we have 2 more to go, and these ones are kind of different. Different in the sense that this time we have factors. So here, what are the leading coefficients and what are the degrees? Well, you will get leading coefficient when you multiply the two terms. So when you multiply and expand, well, cubic function, you expect this to be 2x whole cube, right? So you'll get a factor which is 2x whole cube, correct? And here we have another factor which is minus 5x squared. So when you multiply them, so you get 2 cube is 8, right? 8 times 5 with the negative sign is minus 40. As far as x is concerned, square and cube will add up to 5. So that is what you get, right? So I hope this part is very clear to you. That is how you need to find the leading coefficient and the degree. Degree here you see is 5, which is odd, right? And the leading coefficient is minus 40, which is negative. Perfect. So you have odd, 5 is odd, and minus means negative. Therefore, in this particular example, you are expecting a behavior which is very similar to what we got last time, right? So you can write a similar result. Negative leading coefficient means right side is down, and odd means opposite ends. So you get exactly the same thing. When x is approaching negative infinity, y is approaching positive infinity. When x is approaching positive infinity, y is approaching negative infinity. Okay, do this one now. So what we have here is product of x times, this will be x square, right, times x square, and here we have minus x. Do you see that? So when you add the exponents, you get 1 plus 2 plus 1, which is 4, and the sign is going to be negative. Do you see that? So in this particular case, what you really notice is that the degree is 4, right? So degree is 4, means even for us, and the coefficient is minus 1, that means negative for us. Perfect. So negative means right side down. So let me sketch this characteristic also on the side. It really helps. Right side down, and even means both same ends. So now you can write the characteristics. When x approaches negative infinity, y approaches negative infinity, x approaches negative infinity, positive infinity, y approaches negative infinity. Both same sides. Do you see that? So that is how you can actually solve such a question. Now since I solved all of them for you, here is the question for you. So let's say we have a polynomial which could be written as 2x squared times x minus 3 to the power of 3 times x minus 1. You need to write down the end behavior for this function. I hope you find it simple and the explanation helpful to solve such an example. I'm Anil Kumar. You can subscribe and learn a lot from my videos. Thank you and all the best.